So with your permission, I'll start, sir.
Yeah, sure, please.
Good evening, everyone who have joined us for this interesting webinar. Sri Kachi Bhanushali Seva Samaj Trust, along with Bhanushali Chamber of Commerce, is organizing this webinar by Mr. Anil Joshi. The topic that he's going to cover is where and how to invest post-COVID times. It's an honor and a privilege to have Mr. Joshi with us, who is the founder and managing partner at Unicorn India Ventures and leading venture capital fund focusing on early stage investments in tech focused companies. He has been one of the pioneers of angel investments in India. Just a second, please. I'm sorry. Anil Ji's experience includes corporate management functions in medium and large organizations, early stage investments in startups, project management, joint ventures, and business development. Anil Ji has helped close over 100 venture financing deals. Anil Ji serves on the board of 5 companies and is involved with various incubation centers as mentor in India as well as internationally. He is very well respected and valued in the startup fraternity and is drawn upon by entrepreneurs for advice and strategic direction. Mentoring startups is his passion. Prior to joining Mumbai Angels, he headed new projects and investment in startups with Athenian Group, a telecom, IT, and energy group. His early career started with heading a branch office at Century Ryan, a leading Indian textile conglomerate, after which he moved to Business Access India Private Limited, providing consulting services to Scandinavian companies from diverse sectors, establishing their presence in the Asian markets. Then he moved to TransAsia Biomedical Limited, India's largest manufacturer and exporter of biomedical equipment. Anil Ji graduated in engineering and post-graduation in management and PGDBM in strategic finance and control. It's my privilege to again share the stage with Anil Ji. Over to you, sir, please.
Yeah, thank you, for having me for this wonderful session. Good evening to all. We are going through unprecedented time, and it's equally challenging for I think one and all. So thanks once again for having me for this wonderful session. Good evening to all once again. Uh, you know, Monish had been in touch with me and he had been suggesting to take the session for group, and then we thought what we should take, and finally we thought why not talk about something post COVID. Right. I think everyone is practically overloaded with lot of information. I think we all are now, probably, walking encyclopedia on COVID, what's happening, what's not happening, what to do, what not to do. So I will, not take up your time, on COVID related stuff, but would use this allotted time to share our thought process. How do we see investable opportunities once lockdown is made flexible. I know we still have to go through some challenges, but I think slowly things will start moving, irrespective of the challenges which will only grow in coming month. We have already started seeing some of the trends which are disturbing, but I'm sure we all will come strong out of it, and we will see a lot of opportunity for us and country as such. So with this I would take up, I would be running through few slides which captures our thought process, and that we would like to share with you. Maybe we can keep last session, last part of the session for Q&A. Happy to address if there are any thoughts which we can have exchange on. So to one second. So, post COVID, new paradigm, right? We all are, going through, some challenges, whether it's personal front or professional front. But I will take up, some, macro changes which we are observing and some micro changes. And this I'm talking about, at a global level. So a less global world with countries going for their own manufacturing and agriculture to be self-sufficient in food and reduce dependency for base level survival. See, today, if you look at, India as a country, because of our self dependency, we are not going through a hardship. But imagine, when world is not moving, and we are cut off from supplies, then probably the things will be more challenging than what we are experiencing with, partial lockdown, right? We are going through red, orange, and green zone, and probably we all want to be in green. But I think things will not be same going forward, what it was last year. I think each government have now, have understood the importance of self reliance. Otherwise, the dependency on others will basically ruin the country and its economy. I think India is very lucky, and similarly, I think today was reading newspaper where, even for development, I think we would like to encourage, procurement from country. So, am I audible?
Yes, yes,
Hello.
yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. You're
Sorry.
audible. Very
So,
much
so,
audible.
so, so I think, going forward, each country would like to, be self-reliant both on manufacturing and agriculture. And we had been seeing loud and clear, most of the countries, had been making, a lot of indications. Japan, have come out with packages, for making companies comfortably move out of China, or US, bringing back manufacturing or moving from China. So that will offer, a lot of opportunity. More, activist government in business decision, national assets to be defined, and avoid giving up control to foreign predators, that we have clearly seen now. India have come up with a policy where, countries which are sharing boundaries with India, have to go through approval process. That's more from protecting the national assets. And I think the same has been observed by, other foreign, countries like UK, US, and this is, more to protect, assets. More government will lead to more socialism and a fight to reduce the gap between the haves and haves not. Relook at the rules of international organization. I think US president is very vocal about, WHO role by cutting down the, contribution to financial aids, and re-engaging the trade deals. I think with climate change, more would be now, vegan impetus, change in way human interaction take place in hospitality industry, in medical professional. I'm sure most of you have already would have witnessed, the growing prominence of, tele conference for business or telemedicine for health. The hospitality industry is going through some of the most, challenging time. I think the, post COVID situation will take time for them to utilize their, assets to fullest capacity. I think technology is the only way enabling them to, come out of, financial stress. If you look at micro changes, a more digital world with less travel, physical meetings and conferences. Pers- Personally, I believe we will see, two kind of situation. One, I think with government and probably, we will self impose, some kind of travel restriction on ourselves. uh, but the travel probably will be no fun anymore. And this basically is going to impact the hospitality industry to a great extent, right? People will start traveling less. The physical meetings will be a distance now, right? People will avoid meeting physically. In fact, I'm already seeing, brothers are not meeting brothers. A very dear friend who's based out of Bombay. His parents are, were staying slightly away from him, and he wanted to bring his parents to home, and were not allowed because they didn't had society pass, right? So things are changing. More work from home culture, a direct impact on real estate and commercial office space. I'm sure some of the members who are in real estate, would have already started seeing, some kind of impact. More, distributed working. A serious question on the concept of shared economy, right? So we probably, will see, some serious implications on shared economy. For example, Ola, Uber. I think we already started seeing restrictions on uses. So capacity utilization will be a constraint. So we are basically going to same old, where we were engaging vehicle for ourselves. Now I think we would, be uncomfortable, unless until we are sure about, our safety and hygiene factors. Greater investment in health and medical technology, like product development cycle in software has reduced. So also will be in vaccines. I think we will see more and more, corona kind of situation where, a new form of, viruses probably will emerge, and hence there would be need for, quicker, medical solutions, because I think this is first of its kind, where entire world is is captured in four wall, and nobody is able to move out. But this cannot be the norm, and hence, we probably would see the vaccine development, timing, or drug discovery timing will go down. Social distancing tech to be the next driver, for growth. The dollar 1 trillion digital economy, right? We all know, our prime minister have, ambitious, plan to 8 trillion economy. But looking at, India, which already, could boost, 1 trillion digital economy. The Indian government has pushed digital infrastructure by using initiative designed to strengthen and push technology throughout India. Look at, the implementation of Aadhaar card, no, world's largest biometric identification system. I think we should all feel lucky that, this Aadhaar implementation has happened, and actually has helped government in a great way in rolling out, subsidies and direct, contribution to people. Imagine what would have been these, challenges had, physical distribution would have been done. We all saw what happened when most of the state governments, made, liquor procurement open, and then we were all seeing, videos and pictures, two lines up to 2 kilometer, right? Imagine what would have happened if, physical distribution of cash would have been, had to be done. So I think country is, lucky to have taken certain decision which are working in its favor. BharatNet, an ambitious plan to establish a countrywide network. I think almost the entire country is now covered with optical fiber. Also thanks to Geo, enabling, everyone to be on internet. Universal payment initiative, UPI, I think is today is the biggest driver as far as, fintech or payments are concerned. That has also made, some of the new technologies which we were using, like, mobile wallet, and the new age, fintech companies. UPI actually have become a game changer, and this actually will enable, more and more people coming on, digital payment side. Data storage capacity, with the kind of population we have, and the, I don't know how many of you know that, but today on a average, in a normal Indian, I'm talking about before COVID, before COVID, 2 months back, the normal data consumption by an average, user was around 10 GB, and I'm pretty sure this 10 GB probably would be now approximately 15 to 20 GB, right? More and more content have been started getting used on online. Look at what has happened to entertainment industry, look at what has happened to education industry. The entire industry have now moved from physical infrastructure to digital world. So more and more data storage capacity will be required. India's data center market is growing at a CAGR of 11%, and also with privacy guidelines coming in place, I think country would have more and more data center, and accordingly will offer equal opportunity. Digital service delivery, 82% of public benefit disbursement account for now linked to Aadhaar card. So we see a bright future for digital India, with current private sector involvement being the tip of the iceberg. And also, if you can look at the right bottom box which talks about market size, the e-commerce industry, which was $18 billion in 17, is expected to be 45 billion 2020. I think this figure probably may be different now, considering allowance and non-allowance of some of the e-commerce activity, but potentially that's what it should be. Travel and hotel, I think figures we need to ignore. Financial services, 2017 it was 12 billion, but I think now it should be more than 1 billion. And digital media, I think should have crossed 1 billion. Uh, the ever growing pyramid, this is a very interesting pyramid, and have kept within a purpose. I'm sure most of you must be exposed to stock market, or maybe indirectly through mutual fund. But this particular chart, what I'm talking about, is talking about the growing prominence of Indian tech companies. Look at Groffer, Zeta, Razorpay, Open Bank, which are in bracket of 100 to 100 million to 1 billion. Then we have Club, which is above 1 billion plus, and the recent deal of Facebook investing close to $6 billion in Reliance Jio platform, one of the India's premier digital and telecom giant, right? This is the largest investment for a minority stake by a technology company anywhere in the world, and the largest FDI in technology sectors in India, right? While Reliance Jio is a subsidiary of Reliance, but if you look at in private segment, this is one of the largest FDI we have seen in recent time. Uh, a huge level of synergies available. Why this deal is also important, because that actually defines the prominence importance of Indian economy, right? Why, what probably would have made Facebook to invest in this platform at a premium, when probably share price was was at an discount, right? Bringing together GeoMart, Geo Small Business Initiative, with the power of WhatsApp and Facebook, enabling people to connect with businesses, shop, and ultimately purchases product in a seamless mobile experience. Just imagine, what would have been the factors, with people who are not able to procure groceries, fruits, vegetables, medicine, right? If we don't have solution like this, I think most of the people will be struggling, and I think this situation is going to promote more and more digitization of consumption of product and services. Geo has brought almost 400 million people online. This coupled with Facebook's ability to manage the and analyze data creates a myriad of opportunity within India, from small business to giant corporation. I think the way people are going to consume and protect and services in time to come is totally going to change, right? We will no more be dependent on physical infrastructure, just because of this digitization. I think the opportunities will be equally available to all brands. to grow and prosper. Then another, Walmart Flipkart deal we all know about, of the 16 billion deal, where Walmart came and acquired Flipkart. SoftBank has been very prominent, propagator of Indian technology, having invested almost in all top growing startups, have exposed up to 50 billion-dollar. So that's actually is what excites us, as far as tech focused digital economy is concerned. Bright future for digital tech. And why we also at a fund lay emphasis on digital tech, because that's the future. I'm just I will be just talking about at a broader level for all this five seven verticals, but the scope is much larger. Look at health tech, right? Thanks to availability of smartphones and increased bandwidth, we can now get speedy consultation from doctors, right? uh, Earlier also in physical world, getting two doctors on a single platform was tough, but because of digitization, I think it's very easy for teleconferencing, or rather video conferencing. Today most of the doctors prefer giving video consultancy than physical, right? Nobody would like to meet patient. Of course that's because of coronavirus, but that actually has opened up totally new avenues for people to explore. So for example, consult patient online while you are cutting, the prescription is made, call gets completed, the prescription is emailed to the patient, and you are generating a history which is all digital. And then this prescription can also be shared with pharma store, and pharma store on getting it can deliver the medicine to the patient. Things are changing. Variables with vital signs, as well as so with this kind of scenario, we will see more and more uses of variables. I'm not talking about devices like Fitbit, but there are many more wearable device which basically needed to monitor certain vitals for the patients. So health tech is going to see a big change. I'm sure today most of us are very uncomfortable using elevators, while we had been exposed to certain rudimentary solutions for uses, where people have come up with innovative ideas for using toothpick and other stuff to use elevator. But I came across a startup which actually have come up with a very unique designed keychain size device, which not only help you open your car door, which not only help you make use of lift, which not only help you open the door, which not only help you operate tap, or ATM machine. One single device you can use for contactless extension, and it's very low price, right? It's a innovative design, which can be used uh, you know for contactless operations. So I think we will see more and more innovation in health tech. Agri-tech, due to restrictions on movement and labor brought on by COVID-19 pandemic, agri-tech solutions will become paramount to keep up with the demand, from consumer for this necessary products. Like also, if we would have noticed, I think this time the agri output was very good, but I think because of restrictive travel, I think some of the produce probably will not reach consumer. But by use of technology, I think a government or industry can certainly ensure that wastage can be controlled. So So agri-tech would be, very important going forward, especially if you recollect during my starting note. I think more and more countries are trying to be self-reliant, and hence agri-tech will be very, of prominence, because we would like to increase the productivity. Fintech, I think we all know that, today the only one institute other than, hospitals is banks, which has been tirelessly working and, and supporting, each and every consumer, need. Hats off to all, bank officers. But this is happening because we still have a lot of dependency on, physical operations. But with growing technology advancement, we will see less and less, need to go to bank. So we have one investment, which is a company called Open Bank, which is in neo banking. So that's a digital layer of services over and above, your normal current bank. And to share with members today, almost 5 lakh, small and medium scale businesses are on their platform. And this one business, without, even moving out of office, had been supporting all these SMEs, for their, digital needs, as far as, banking operations are concerned, right? Whether making multiple payments, whether, reconciling account, or, foreign remittance. So I think fintech, by by and large, would be the flavor for, a decade to come, because India in any case is underserved, and we will see lot many, financial, innovative solutions, and that's, also is one of the prime theme for, our second fund, which we have just went live. EduTech, I think, whole of 2020 we will see most of the schools and colleges and university would be now only on, digital platform. I am not sure, how schools are going to cope up with, physical lectures, but it is very, you know uh, visible that, digital would be the way forward. This has actually have also, made most of the, online, e-education companies which were struggling, and all of a sudden, all of have become the flavor of the, season. So edutech, we will see more and more solutions coming up, like what we are now using Zoom. We probably will see more advancement in technology, where, classes can be conducted seamlessly. Collaborative technology, the good example is Zoom. But I would like to give you one example, where, this is now new normal, work from home. And, companies allowing employees to work from home also have a lot of stress, from the perspective of trust, from the perspective of confidentiality, from the perspective of, cyber security. And here, technology will play a great role, ensuring all these factors. And we will see more and more, technology would come in place, which will enable, companies to, reduce, their risk factor, as far as, working from home is concerned. GovTech, some of the examples of GovTech is Aadhaar, UPI. I think Arogya Setu app, will be game changer for most of the us, because that will, protect us, going forward. I would encourage all members here to, download and use it, which I had been using, for quite some time. Another industry which, we believe is gaming and e-sport. I don't know how many of you would have seen the ad of, MPL, which where, person come and says, and I played game online, and I won, 50,000, 6 lakh, 8 lakh, right? E-sports, I think, is getting a lot of prominence. More and more people are exploring this platform, not only, as for fun, but also as, competitive tournaments. Of course, entertainment is another industry. So list is long. I think digitization is the way forward. Venture capital as an asset class in India. I think some of you are already exposed. I know this slide is self-explanatory, but let me, give a summary. I had been lucky to get exposed to this industry much before, this industry actually, got or started. I think venture capital industry had been there in India, for quite some time, but it started getting prominence in somewhere around 2010. Till that time, the venture capital industry was more game for foreign VCs. But 2010 we saw first domestic VC fund coming in, and since then we have now dozen of venture capital fund like us who have raised money from domestic investors and had been investing in Indian startup. So if you look at the pyramid I had showed you, I think most of those pyramid is dominant by foreign investors. We have very little contribution from Indian investors, and the reason being that Indian investors were not exposed to this asset class. At the same time, the awareness about this asset class started very late, and hence most of us lost the opportunity to get exposed to early opportunities, right? I don't know how many of you would have been investor in Paytm or Grover or Udan or Delivery or Zilingo, Farm Easy. I think most of us probably using it as well, right? But when it comes to investing in this kind of companies, most of us are clueless how to invest in these companies, right? Of course, one way is to be part of angel investment, but the good news today is that after SEBI revamped VC policies and came up with alternative investment finance. That's when we started seeing surge in this industry. So outlook, strong growth over the past few years with a significant uptick in 2019. If you look at in 2010, when I said that industry started getting some traction, we had approximately 3 odd billion investment, and today the investment have gone as high as $10 billion, and I expect this to develop in couple of years, more so because India is a very prominent and strong market for people to have better ROI than compared to availability of opportunities in rest of the world. Early stage VC returns. This chart specifically, we picked up from US because we don't have many data points for India, but it should be more or less same or maybe better. If you look at early stage VCs have done better than the overall VCs. Irrespective of that, both of them have done better than S&P 500, right? And same trend we would see this in India as well. India growth story so far, right? So if you look at, this is a very interesting, chart we have made a pictorial kind. India has seen a surge of entrepreneurship over the last decade, with the number of Indian startup rising, from under 10,000 to more than 50,000, right? We are seeing more and more, entrepreneurial activity happening across India, right? I think we are saying about 21 unicorns because some of the unicorns have got acquired, but I think today India comfortably have around 29, 30 unicorns, has emerged as third largest ecosystem for more successful startups, right behind China and US. And I personally believe India will soon take a second spot in some time. India is also set up, to be the world's R&D hub, and especially with people thinking of moving out of China. I think in any case it's going to get a lot of prominence. Close to half the startup registered in India are being powered by innovators from tier 2, tier 3, and rural India. I don't know how many of you had been tracking, but I am seeing more and more, and in fact associated, with lot of tier 2, tier 3, cities like Bhubaneswar. We have recently made an investment, which got incubated in Bhubaneswar. Cities like Patna, cities like Surat, cities like Ahmedabad, Jaipur, and then we have a lot of action happening in Bombay, Bangalore, Delhi, Chennai, Hyderabad, right? So India overall is seeing this entrepreneurial footprint across India, right? It's not restricted to four metros, but even cities like Pune, Jaipur, Chandigarh, Kochi, is showing a lot of prominence. Thousand of startups are being nurtured by domestic and multinational corporates. More and more, now corporates have started, eyeing, association with startups. I don't know how many of you know, but Reliance was pretty active last 2 years in acquiring many startups, and some of the startups which they have acquired will help them on their ambitious project of GeoMart, which involves a lot of integration with local hyper local retail stores, payment gateways, financial services, procurement, delivery. I know, and that's possible only because they have seen uh, you know prom promising support from startups. Why are we seeing growth, right? This is a very interesting slide. Digital India today, if you look at entire India is connected, right? We are no more dependent. I still remember almost 15, 20 years back, I am from Rajasthan, from interiors, and during our summer break, we were very reluctant to go to our native place, because that was cutting us from a lot of potential entertainment. But today things are totally different. Today's kids don't want to stay in metro because they are deprived of open space, green space. Digitally everything is available. And this is the power of digitization, right? More and more people would like to move away from metros. And I personally believe post COVID situation, we might see surge in rural economy. Jan Dhan Yojana, which Prime Minister started, while it was highly debated, but I think that one decision have actually helped integrating the entire nation on fintech side. And data disruption, develop infrastructure for low cost mobile data enabling, thanks to Geo for that. India today have I think more than 300 or maybe 400 million smartphones. Uh, you know by 2021, 60% of India's GDP will be derived from digital products and services. I think this could be much more than, because this figure we have picked up was of past study, but post COVID situation has totally changed in the last 5 years. From more than 8,200 reforms related to everything from taxation, GST, to bankruptcy code have been rolled out. This enabled India to leap 14 places on ease of doing business. Of course, long way to go. It's a very debatable, but I think whatever decisions have been taken with an objective to make country more and more digitized, right? This is a very interesting chart. I actually kept it very purposefully, because some of members on group would like to understand the life cycle of startup. So if you look at uh, especially if you look at, even we operate in space which basically we call valley of death. So startup, if you look at right bottom, when they start, when the revenues are zero, they have very less, resources. They go through a valley of death where most of the startups, get folded. But the moment they start showing prominence and grow, the curve is so sharp that India have seen the fastest growing billion-dollar company. And this is possible only because the kind of infrastructure we have developed over last decade, as far as digitization is concerned, and the 17% or maybe 16% world's population is India, the one of the youngest population in world. I think our average age is around 26 or 27, right? That makes India very interesting. And this is what make very important, right? If you look at, people start with family and friend money, then angels, then seed capital, and then comes the middle part, which is VC, right, which has also got now in scope of investments for normal investors. And then we go for IPO, right? So this, I just thought of keeping it, happy to spend more time if members would like to understand the aspect. But I thought it's very important to understand, how this, while it looks very interesting and rewarding, at the same time, startup journey is very painful and very risky, right? And that's what normally people lose their money, only if they are part of valley of death, right? But if you come out of the valley of death, the returns are quite high, right? So these are some of our portfolio company. If members are interested, during Q&A I can take up with examples. I think I already overshot my allotted time. As a fund, we are trending something around 3.4 times. This slide I've kept, not for the purpose of showing how we are doing, but I think from IRR perspective, if you look at, we are in fifth year of our fund, and we are already, at 45% IRR, right? And even during COVID, except if I go back, except two companies, this is a portfolio. Rest of the portfolio is actually doing very good, right? So some of our companies are actually also involved in order processing between distributors and retailers, and their order book actually have grown during COVID, when most of companies are finding it tough to even operate, right? Their revenue have gone zero, expenses have increased because they still have expenses, right? Salaries to be paid, rents to be paid, other expenses to be paid, and revenues are not happening. But some of the companies who were focusing on digitization have actually seen growth, right? And with this, I would like to end my talk, and happy to take up Q&A if there are any. Thank you very much.
Anilji, brilliant presentation. It was amazing to hear you and see the facts that we are right now studying, and on that basis making a decision to where invest your hard-earned money eventually, and make it work for you. So yeah, great questions coming in. I'd take the liberty of directly asking it
So
to
can
you.
you just give me 2 minutes? I just want to gulp some water. Just
Sure, sure,
few
sure, sir.
seconds.
Sure, sir. Sure, sir. Sure.
Hey, hi Pratik, good to go.
Great. Thank you, sir. Sir, so the questions coming in are varied. So yeah, so I'll take the first question. What do you think sector-wise as renewable energy sector? Would you like to have a look at a unique business model in this sector where someone can invest their time and money in, or is this the correct sector to go in right now after post-COVID?
See, renewable in any case, have been, in discussion. I think what more would be important. No, I will just, make one, rather one question. we all have electricity, connection at our home, and I think we have gone through a phase where we all would have paid, a last electricity bill. I don't know how many of you have noticed, that we all have paid, average consumption and not, actual consumption. What does that mean? That utility companies probably have missed out realizing the true revenue for the units consumed by users only because they were not able to take meter readings, right? So I think uh, you know today power shortage is not an issue. Of course, people should keep investing in innovative ideas. For example, let's say if somebody have come up with solar energy tapping and is able to increase the productivity by 15-20%, I think one should go for it. But I think what would be more important is digitization of this entire asset class, right? How do you make smart meters? How do you make grid smarter? For example, if I can make grid smarter, which can actually distribute power depending upon the uses, then I will be more you know uh, profitable than it's very cost consuming sector. So to answer your question, yes, if somebody come across some productivity enhancing technology in renewable, please go for it. But I would see more investments happening on how to make this entire vertical smarter, because we still live with a legacy ecosystem, and utility companies are not able to bill consumer because they don't have information, which is very 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 odd.
Great. Right. Perfectly answered the question, sir. Sir, getting a few varied questions from investors' perspective, from startups' perspective. So the next question is, in your fund, what is the minimum ticket size that one can invest in?
So see, SEBI, so there are two things, right? One, investors investing in startup ecosystem, I think there people can invest any amount upward of 5 lakhs per company, right? That's an individual exposure provided they have access to it. But if you talk about SEBI accredited fund, the minimum commitment investor have to make is 1 crore. That's a commitment, but most of the fund do draw down over a period of 3 years. So I think on annual you can say anywhere between 25 to 30 lakhs depending upon how funds are drawing down. As far as we are concerned, we are drawing 25 lakhs a year. So if somebody commits 1 crore, we take 25 lakh first year, and then every year 25. If somebody commits 2 crore, then it's 50 lakh. So minimum commitment for SEBI accredited fund is 1 crore.
Brilliant, sir. Great. Um, Sir, there is an interesting question that I've read. So the participant says, I've invested in a long-term vision fund, equity mutual fund portfolio. Most of them, irrespective of the class, are almost 30% loss. Should you stay invested via SIP or shift the portfolio to another asset class? And what do you recommend?
See, as long as it's a long-term approach, I think you don't have any reason to be worried. Stay invested. I think in 2 years' time it will get averaged out, and you will be again come back to your desired level. But if you're looking from liquidity perspective, then maybe you would like to move it to much better operating fund than the current one. But if you have long term vision, I think don't get bothered. I think in 2 years time things will get averaged out. Today every asset class is undergoing very stressed situation. Even real estate is stressed out. Gold is the only one which is growing, but how long you can keep investing in gold, right?
Right, sir. Sir, next up, what is your view on the fintech mediator startup like Paisa Bazaar and Square Capital? Are venture capital firms still positive on the fintech side of it?
Yeah, of course, yes. Right. My entire presentation was around the digitization. Fintech will be the flavor for next decade to come. When I say fintech, please don't misjudge me by saying lending solutions. Lending solutions are today in stress, not because people are defaulting, but situation is such that people have money but they don't have liquidity. Right. It's a very unique situation. You have money but you don't have liquidity, right? You have assets but those are all illiquid. So we are going through very difficult phase. So lending business will probably see some stressful time, but I'm sure we would need more and more innovative solutions which not only help you make better use of your funds, but also gives you opportunity to keep earning every possible opportunities, right? So we have seen solutions for businesses. I think we still have to see solutions, banking solutions for consumers. India, I still consider highly under utilized as far as technology is concerned in fintech, right? The only innovation we saw few year back was Paytm, right? We never thought there could be something called mobile wallet, and then things have changed a lot, right? Today many people don't even keep wallet with them, right? They don't even need credit cards, right? They're able to use mobile phone, right? So in my view, fintech would be the flavor in next decade at
Brilliant.
least.
Great. Great. Sir, now from the startups and innovators perspective, what is your opinion on this current scenario about hanging up the gloves in case of a job as a CA and then going for a startup at this age
Oh,
or
don't worry.
time?
Best time. If somebody of thinking of getting started, I think we all have a very unique opportunity. While I just actually had tweeted yesterday about this, and somebody said, there's nothing called now. Every time is good. If you want to get started, right? If you have an idea, please go for it. And I think this job thing, it's very temporary. People will certainly have stress because, as I said, people have money but liquidity is not there. I was just talking today to a friend who have a very small office, under 10 people. He was saying that he had paid you know last month, but if he have to look at paying next month, even if he want to do, he can't pay because he doesn't have liquidity, right? So I think job market will see some stress, but at the same time job market would also see new kind of opportunity where people will actually start working from home, right? Freelancers, right? You may not have a permanent job but you will still be making money, right? You have to see how innovative you could render your services. As far as starting new business or entrepreneurial journey, I think if you have a solution which can leverage current pain point, I think you will be in a business for long term.
Right. Brilliant. Got your point. Got your point. Brilliant. Sir, what is your view on offline retail market industry post COVID?
Hey, we all had been discussing about Facebook deal with
Right.
Reliance, right? While we were absorbing that, Facebook have sorry, Geo have raised another $3 billion, right? Total 8 billion have been raised in approximately a week time. I think somewhat similar amount may get invested more in Reliance Geo platform. Yes, the hyper local stores would be the flavor. Reliance would be successful only if they have access to this kind of stores. So if someone have resources, and if they can plan with that in view, I think there is a good opportunity, right? If somebody can correlate what happened during early days of Ola, Uber, where people started
Right.
with one car and then went for second, and some of my friends have around 800 cars running only on platforms. I think there would be an opportunity for someone to even have chain of stores, under their belt, which they will only manage for someone.
Great, great, got your point. Sir, Mr. Deepak Bhanushali is an IFA, and he would want to connect with you. I think if you could just display your how can we connect with you? Maybe
I
an email
think
ID or
1 second in chat. Let me give my email ID. Mhm. Yeah, I think people can see. 1 second. I've just typed my email ID and I can also give my,
yes, sir.
LinkedIn, which normally I use. Mhm. And I think Monish has my details coordinates, right? Yes.
Okay.
So I
I
have
just
given
wanted your
both my
permission to
email
share, please.
ID and I have given my LinkedIn profile. People can get connected either way.
Thank
Anyway,
you, sir.
I think social handle is pretty much, commonly available. So no stress.
Right.
People can
Great.
find me if they really want to find me.
True, sir. True, sir. Sir, I'd, with your permission, just invite Mr. Shailesh Joishar to for a vote of thanks, sir, please.
Sure, please. I
Shailesh,
hope no more questions. So if there are questions, I can
no,
take up.
sir.
Huh? I don't have stress
We have
today.
covered many of this. Before that, a personal question.
Yeah.
Reliance, amazing deals that have been gone through the door, and exactly you. There was a question, but you answered it. But still, I am quite curious to know. There is
Hmm.
about 35,000 crores debt that still needs to be post these deals that has to go smoothly. But in terms of the market reach,
Hmm.
I think in the next 1 or 2 years, if geo platforms are going to knock on every door in our
Hmm.
household,
Hmm.
what is the higher side in terms of that their reach and their profitability that they are going to go? How many X's that uh, volume that we are talking about post in India that they can conquer?
See, with Reliance, capability, I will not be surprised if they are able to cover at least 50% of the retail segment in India. That
Okay.
is that is a humongous quantity,
Yes, it
right?
is huge.
And that will need hell lot of investment. That's the opportunity for micro entrepreneurs. At the same time, that's the also opportunity for several other service providers. So I had been invested in one company which got acquired by Reliance, and I think they acquired it only for making local stores more hyper local, right? How do you discover stores in your proximity, right? I can bring all stores on my platform, but how would I ensure that you get supplies only from the store which is closest to you, right? There is no point I get, my goods get delivered from a store which is 5 kilometers from my place, right? They have to control cost, and the optimization can only happen if they are able to use technology, to the greatest potential, right? The closest, the procurement, the fintech, right? I know there is a store which have good catchment area, but that particular store is financially weak. If i if my platform can tell me that if I fund this store without any collateral issues, and the business will be still protected, I think Reliance will make great amount of deal, right? But they have to leverage technology, and this can only happen if they have well integrated every aspect of the business, right? That's why the Reliance platform becomes very unique, right? I see this platform be more valuable than anything else in time to come.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
Great. Thank you, sir. Answered my question perfectly. Yes, sir. With your permission, we don't have any other questions. So, with your permission, can I
Yeah,
ask Shailesh
please,
Bhai
please,
Joshar? Please,
please.
Shailesh Bhai, please go on for the vote of thanks, please.
Thanks, Pratik. Uh, it was really nice listening to you, Mr. Anil Joshi, sir. Your perspective on the investment landscape and the focus on digital tech was really insightful. Your slides on the $1 trillion economy and the ever-changing pyramid was also like good to see, with all the things put across in a very clear way. With that, I'd like to take this opportunity to thank you on behalf of Sri Kachi Banushali Seva Samaj Trust and Banushali Chamber of Commerce for sparing your time and letting us, our audience, interact with you on this digital platform. I'd also like to thank all the participants who invested their time in this webinar, and hope this session was helpful to all.
Thank you, Shailesh Bhai, and I hope I get opportunity to do some session in person in future, right? Odd times we are using this platform, and would love to give face to name in time to come. Look forward to meeting in person very
We'll also
soon.
be,
Best of
Sure.
luck, and be safe and be healthy.
Thank you, sir.
thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you very much for joining us.